Are you enjoying the Stories That Connect channel? Then click follow to help our channel reach people who need spiritual and financial enrichment. Leave a like and comment on what you need to improve in your life. Today, we're delving into a profound theme: the influence of mental conditioning on our lives. Over the years, much has been debated about how to recognize if we've been conditioned, and even how we can consciously condition our minds to achieve our goals. Based on over 2 decades of research, study, and interaction with people who claim to be conditioned, and those who have consciously shaped their minds for success, I would like to share a unique perspective. Imagine the world as a mirror, reflecting not only our actions but also our deepest beliefs. This reflection is discussed in the book Reality Transurfing, under the principle of the mirror. To what extent is this true? And how does it relate to mental conditioning? I call our conversation Mind Map, thinking only from the premise of truth. This reflection was also inspired by a quote from EMT Fox in the Sermon on the Mount, where he speaks of the pure in heart. Recognizing God as the only true cause and power is essential to achieving true purity of heart. In biblical context, the heart often refers to the part of our mind that modern psychology identifies as the subconscious. It's crucial to understand that accepting truth only in our conscious mind is just the beginning. It only becomes transformative when assimilated by the subconscious, influencing our character and life profoundly. Let's now explore the liberation from illusions. True nature resides in love, happiness, peace, and wholeness. Everything else is false, an illusion that shapes our relationships, careers, and daily lives. These beliefs, rooted in our subconscious, generate thoughts and behaviors that can lead us away from true fulfillment and prosperity. Often, these beliefs are formed under the influence of authority figures, as discussed by William Walker Atkinson. But who decides who is an authority? You? Only you can discern and choose the truths that shape your life. Reflecting on these concepts can be the first step to freeing yourself from illusions and living a life of authenticity and clarity. In the perception of authoritative figures, as discussed by William Walker Atkinson in his book Suggestion and Autosuggestion, there exists a class of suggestion known as authority suggestion. He explains that this form of suggestion manifests in both positive authoritative statements directed to the point and in statements spoken or written by those who speak or write with authority. Let's explore this. Who determines if the person we are listening to is authoritative on a subject? Only us. It is an illusion to think otherwise, because only we know how we relate to appearances, including people, environments, circumstances, and information. We are specifically discussing information, and I'd like to relate this to the 14 language patterns from a wonderful book called Sleight of Mouth by Robert Dilts. What matters is not what I or anyone else says to you, but how you relate to the words and what is being communicated, whether verbally or non-verbally. This determines what you allow to influence your thoughts. Do you allow thoughts that are not based on truth to form a false constructed identity, or do you ideally relate to this information from the premise of truth? When someone like parents, teachers, public figures, friends, or family presents information, it is your relationship with that information that determines its meaning. I call this section perceived authority, because it is you who determines whether a person is authoritative or not. Often, people are unaware of this and may relate to information that is not based on truth. Consider a direct statement. You will never be successful doing it your way. Is this really true? If someone does not think for themselves, they may relate to this as a permanent state of failure when doing things their own way, whether building their business, enjoying relationships, or living life according to their vision. Reflecting on these points can help you better discern the information you absorb and live with greater authenticity and clarity. To fully live what you desire in your relationships, business, friendships, or romantic partner, we know that denying the fact that you are love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity is clearly false. Now, when encountering any information suggesting otherwise, you clearly recognize it as mere appearance, not reality. One way to release this identification, that is, the illusions of the self, is to release false beliefs stored in the subconscious. In biblical context, the heart often represents this part of the mind, known in modern psychology as the subconscious. Blessed are the pure in heart refers to those who have released identification with illusions, false and unreal beliefs, to automatically live in truth. They live as they truly desire, in spiritual harmony with all. Let's examine the statement. You will never be successful doing it your way. Here come the 14 language patterns from Robert Dilts's book, Sleight of Mouth. Often used in consulting, coaching, and mentoring, these patterns facilitate the release of self-illusions, allowing you to live according to your true desires, in spiritual harmony with all. Through internal dialogue, we can speak to ourselves in a way that acknowledges whether we are reacting to a statement. If there is emotional tension or doubt about your ability, there may be identification with a false belief. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they see God, they see love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity, increasingly reflected in the appearances of life. There is no shame or condemnation in this process. Using these language patterns can facilitate the release of false identifications and beliefs stored in the subconscious, allowing you to recognize the true nature of the self: love, happiness, peace, wholeness. From the premise of truth, love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity are undeniable realities. Let's now explore these language patterns as an example of the communication you can have with yourself or facilitate in your relationships, including with someone you trust. Intention. Identify the positive intention behind the belief or behavior. For example, in response to the statement, "You will never be successful doing it your way," you might reply, "I understand they are suggesting exploring different paths to success, among infinite possibilities. I appreciate their views on success, and I know it's beneficial for them to see another way to achieve success." These language patterns are designed not to trigger limiting beliefs. I call them artistic self-suggestion or skillful inner dialogue, a conversation with yourself or another that facilitates the release of self-illusions, false beliefs stored in the subconscious, without generating resistance. These are examples prepared for our conversation today. When I apply these individually, I adjust my communication as needed to avoid triggering false beliefs that could lead to fight, flight, or freeze reactions. The goal is to communicate in a way that releases identification with the false belief, thus initiating the change for you to live truly as you desire. Reframing. Change the meaning of the words used. Regarding the previous example, success may have different meanings for different people. For me, success also involves continuous growth and learning, which I am constantly manifesting. Therefore, if I hear a statement like, "You will never be successful doing it your way," I do not interpret it in a way that reinforces false beliefs. If there is reactivity to this statement, this language pattern helps release identification with the false belief that generates emotional resistance. Consequence. Explore the consequences of the belief or behavior. If I believe I will never be successful, I will limit my potential, whereas my reality is infinite, created in the perfect image of the Creator. You too were created in the perfect image of the Creator. With the language patterns of sleight of mouth, I like to relate them to spiritual truths. You are love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity unconditionally. They exist beyond conditions imposed by the subconscious. You can consciously reprogram the subconscious to recognize and live this essential truth. What do you truly desire to experience and manifest in your life? It's like staging a wonderful theater of loving relationships, successful entrepreneurship, and a fluid journey based on love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity, which are the essence of your true nature. Imagine yourself crossing the bridge of incidents to manifest this prosperity, aligning completely with the essential truth. For example, if you believe you will never be successful, you are limiting your potential. However, your true capacity is infinite. Choose to focus on your strengths and continue manifesting your vision. This leads us to the next pattern: chunking up. Here, we generalize the belief to a higher level. What truly matters is living a life aligned with truth, love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. Success is the physical manifestation of this larger framework. Chunking down. We specify the belief at a more detailed level to clearly see that it is not true. Illuminate this belief to realize where it does not hold. Metaphor, analogy. Here, we use metaphors or analogies to reframe the belief, thereby releasing identification with it. For example, success is like a garden that I tend to every day, even if the fruits have not yet appeared. I trust fully that they will. My approach to communication is poetic and intentional, designed not to trigger identifications or fight, flight, or freeze responses. It is a delicate way to insert suggestions into the subconscious, facilitating the release of false beliefs without resistance. When I practice this, I feel there is no resistance, and you can do the same. Learn to communicate with yourself in a way that frees identifications and illusions of the self. As ancient wisdom says, "What you decree shall be done." Free yourself from these false beliefs and manifest your true nature. Love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity, unconditionally. It is as if we are unraveling an ancestral secret, a hidden wisdom in the subtleties of everyday life. Every challenge, every obstacle, is no longer a barrier, but an invitation to learn and grow. Imagine yourself cultivating a garden, dedicating yourself to it every day, even if the fruits have not yet sprouted. Confidence lies in knowing that inevitably, they will flourish. When faced with limiting statements like, "You will never be successful doing it your way," we are no longer shaken. Instead, we question, explore other perspectives, and discover that these words have no power over us. Every word, every thought, is a conscious choice to live in truth, peace, happiness, wholeness, and prosperity. In this process, we apply carefully crafted language patterns to unravel the illusions of the self, without reinforcing false identities. We go straight to the truth, recognizing that we are love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. We change the frame size, adjust the perspective, and realize that each step is part of a larger story of success. Each of us has the potential for success. There is no place for shame or condemnation, only an invitation to question and recognize this potential in everyone, including ourselves. And thus, we release old limiting beliefs, live authentically, and in harmony with our higher vision. May this inner dialogue strengthen your journey. May each reflection and insight bring you closer to truth, manifesting more and more heaven on earth, where everything you touch turns to gold. It's as if we are sailing on an ocean of possibilities, where each wave brings an opportunity to explore, learn, and evolve. When confronted with limiting ideas like, "You will never be successful doing it your way," they no longer shake us. We question, reflect, and clearly see that these words do not have the power to define us. The key lies in being conscious of what you relate to appearances. You discern whether something is aligned with essential truth or not. If it is not true, you release that identification. As these false identifications dissipate, you begin to operate from the single eye, the eye of God, which is love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. Imagine your focus automatically directing towards what is ideal, continually manifesting prosperity. It's akin to alchemy, where everything you touch turns to gold. Applying the reality strategy, we question how beliefs are constructed in practice. How do they measure success by their standards? You recognize that you make significant progress every day. Identifying and validating the positive intention behind beliefs is also crucial. Even if someone tries to shield you from disappointments with limiting statements, you believe in your ability to manifest success in your own way. William Walker. Atkinson teaches us that suggestion by authority manifests in both authoritative statements and in spoken or written words by those who exude an aura of authority. By practicing what I share in this video, it becomes crystal clear for you to discern truth in any presented information. Your focus is no longer guided by external information, but maintained on the course you set. This is the path of truth, from where we arise and where we return, living authentically. I hope this video has been enlightening for you. To conclude, I suggest an auto-suggestion to further strengthen your path. I acknowledge that I am aware of what I relate to appearances, and ideally, I relate to truth, keeping my focus increasingly aligned with my vision in continuous and growing frequency. Thus, I know I am love, happiness, peace, wholeness, and prosperity, and my attention automatically directs towards what is related to my vision. People, environment, circumstances, and information harmoniously support the manifestation of my heaven on earth, in increasing and continuous frequency as perceived by the senses.